Hey, what's going on everybody? This is Keagan here and welcome back to the channel. I am back with a brand new video for you guys and welcome to another edition of Keagan's Movie Reviews. And I got another movie review for you guys today. So today's movie I'm going to be talking about is Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, which this movie is the prequel to the TV series Twin Peaks. And Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me is a psychological horror crime drama directed by David Lynch, and it was released on August 28th, 1992. So this year marks the film's 30th anniversary. Now, we're going to do something a little bit different this time before we get into the review of today's movie. We're actually going to talk a little bit about the TV show that this series is the prequel of. So before we get into the review of the movie itself, let's talk about the TV show first, shall we? For those who don't know, Twin Peaks is a TV show that originally aired in the 90s, like in the early 90s, and the show was created by Mark Frost and David Lynch. It was a murder mystery that takes place in the fictional small town of Twin Peaks, set in Washington, in the Washington state to be exact. And it follows an FBI agent who's trying to solve the mysterious murder of a high school student named Laura Palmer. And when this show premiered back in 1990, it was a big hit. Like it was pretty big in pop culture at the time when it was released back in 1990. It was very well received. However, when the second season came out later on in 1990, it was met with mixed reactions, although it ultimately received some low ratings. And after the second season ended on a cliffhanger, the show was abruptly canceled before the show got revived in 2017 for a 18 episode limited series called Twin Peaks The Return, or just season 3 or whatever you want to call it. And it led many people to believe the show was finished for 25 years before in 2017 the show got revived. And as of when this video was recorded right now, I'm actually currently watching Twin Peaks The Return, because this year I started watching Twin Peaks for the first time, and I must say I loved it. And after I finished the second season of Twin Peaks, I watched the movie Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, which at the time when this film was released, well, before it was released, many people believed it was going to be a sequel and pick up right after when the second season ended. Well, those people were very much mistaken, because, like I said at the beginning of this video, this movie is actually the prequel to Twin Peaks. And at the time when this movie was released, it got it was shit on and hated by everybody because they thought it was going to be a sequel, but alas, it wasn't. It was the prequel, after all. But years later, many people say it's considered one of Lynch's best movies. It's definitely a divisive film, but we'll get to that a little later in this review. So that's enough talking about Twin Peaks. Now it's time to dive into the film itself. So let's take a dive into Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. Now, there's technically two storylines that exist in Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. The first one is only the first half hour of the movie, and the other storyline is the rest of the movie. Now, the first storyline follows two FBI agents named Chester Desmond, played by Chris Isaack, and Sam Stanley, played by Kiefer Sutherland, which the two agents are sent by their boss, Gordon Cole, played by David Lynch. They're sent to investigate a murder of a teenage girl named Teresa Banks in a trailer park. However, while they're investigating, one of the FBI agents disappears. And then the story flashes forward a year later, where it follows Laura Palmer. Well, this is basically the rest of the movie. The rest of the movie centers around Laura Palmer, played by Sheryl Lee, and her story takes place a week before Twin Peaks starts, before she was murdered. And the film centers primarily on Laura Palmer, even though she doesn't appear until a half hour into the movie. And basically, this film delves into the backstory of Laura Palmer before she was murdered. And Laura Palmer had a really traumatic childhood. She was badly abused as a child. And basically, this film just takes place 7 days before the show begins, and the last days of Laura Palmer before she was killed, and all the events leading up to where the first episode of the TV series begins. And it does have the main character from the TV show, Agent Cooper, played by Kyle McLachlan in the show. He is in this movie, although he's not the center, like the focus of this movie that I'm sure a lot of people thought that the movie was going to be about. Although he is in the movie, but he's hardly in the movie. It's primarily focused on Laura Palmer, which that's basically the storyline in a nutshell without giving away too much. And now I'm going to give my thoughts on this movie. Now, I would like to start off by saying that I would highly recommend that you don't watch this movie until you watch the first 2 seasons of Twin Peaks, because even though this is a prequel to Twin Peaks, I would strongly recommend you watch the first 2 seasons of the TV show before you watch this movie, and then watch the limited series after you watch this movie. It's probably best you do that, though. Watch the first 2 seasons first, and then this movie. So, after watching this movie for the first time a couple weeks ago, I can definitely understand why there are some people that don't like this movie, especially if you're a fan of the show. They either A, thought that it was going to take place after the show, after the second season ended, and some of those people thought it was going to be about Agent Cooper, even though he is a side character in this movie. He does appear in the movie, but not often. It's primarily focused on Laura Palmer and the last 7 days before she was killed and when the show starts. And I must say, I really, really enjoyed this film. It's not for everybody, especially if you're a fan of the TV show. Although, like I said, I would recommend you watch the first 2 seasons of the TV show before you watch this movie. It'll make more sense, and it makes the film slightly more depressing, knowing that that the character in this movie is going to get slaughtered. I don't know if that's technically a spoiler, but if you know the lore for the TV show, you know how the movie's going to end. But I really, really enjoyed this film. I thought it was very surreal, very weird, just like every other David Lynch movie. And it's pretty disturbing and a lot darker than the TV show. Sure, the TV show had some humorous moments, but this movie does not have any of that. It is a lot darker than the show. And I think, in my opinion, this might just be David Lynch's darkest movie so far. Sure, Blue Velvet was dark and surreal. Mulholland Drive was weird. And Lost Highway, which I reviewed in my last video, was weird, but that's nothing like this movie. I think this movie is without a doubt David Lynch's darkest movie. And I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was well acted, it was well casted, and surprisingly, David Bowie is in this movie, although he's not in it for very long. And I can definitely understand why there are some people that don't like this movie. Some people say it's unnecessary, or maybe they just weren't fans of it, and maybe it's just missing a lot of characters from the show, which, yes, this movie isn't missing a lot of characters from the show, although there are some characters who appear in deleted scenes, or known as the lost pieces, which, if you own this movie on Blu-ray, whether it be the Criterion Collection release, the Z to A box set, or the Complete Mystery, which was the box set that was released before the limited series aired. If you own the movie on Blu-ray, I would highly recommend you check out the deleted scenes after you watch this movie. There's a lot of those deleted scenes. I wonder why they weren't added into the movie. Some of those deleted scenes should have been added to the movie. like the one deleted scene where Laura Palmer and her parents are having a dinner like a normal family would. I wonder why that scene wasn't included in the final version of the movie. But I don't have too much else to say about it other than I really enjoyed watching Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. I think it's one of my favorites from David Lynch, and I think it works as a prequel for a TV show. Although it's not for everyone, especially if you're a fan of the TV show. And once again, I would highly encourage you to watch the first 2 seasons of the TV show first before watching this movie. You'll probably be glad you did. But even though it's a prequel, I would still recommend watching the first 2 seasons of the TV show before watching this movie. But I don't have a lot to say. I really enjoyed Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. I think it's one of David Lynch's best movies, and it works as a prequel. And I love Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks is a damn good show, and I'm halfway through the limited series watching Twin Peaks for the first time, and I love it. I think Twin Peaks is one of my favorite shows, and this prequel is a great movie and a great prequel to the TV series. But I'm going to give Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me an 8.5 out of 10. Great movie. I enjoyed it. And that's going to be it for this review. And that wraps up another edition of Keagan's Movie Reviews. And thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did, feel free to leave a like, leave a comment below, and subscribe for more videos like this. And feel free to follow me on my Instagram and Letterboxd. The links are in the description down below. And what are your thoughts on this movie? And what do you think of Twin Peaks? Let me know in the comment section below. But anyways, thanks again for watching. Hope you guys have a great day. And until next time, this is Keagan Shepherd signing off. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.